Hello and welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching Beyond World is One as is World DNA with me, Jyotsna Kumar. Let's begin with the headlines. U.S. President Donald Trump slams mayor of Minneapolis in Minnesota governor over their response to the killing of a civilian in the city by federal officers, accuses them of inciting insurrection. Dramatic video of Minneapolis shooting emerges, shows law enforcement running down snow-covered streets before shots are heard, with officers later seen leaning over a man lying on the ground. Incident comes less than 3 weeks after fatal shooting of Renee Good. Russian President Vladimir Putin reportedly could soon meet Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky as U.S. praises direct talks as a big step. Opposition-affiliated Iran international news outlet claims Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has gone into hiding in a Tehran bunker as Iran braces for a possible U.S. attack. Syrian government extends truce with Kurdish forces by 15 days in a bid to support the transfer of Islamic State group detainees from Syria to Iraq. U.S. envoy Jared Kushner, Steve Witkoff meet Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu discuss Gaza's future. Myanmar opens final round of its month-long election with the dominant pro-military party on course for a landslide in a junta-run vote critics say will prolong the army's grip on power. U.S. President Donald Trump threatens a 100% tariff on all Canadian goods if Canada goes ahead with a trade deal with China, warning Prime Minister Mark Carney that it would risk Canada's economy and accusing China of using Canada to skirt U.S. tariffs. Now, federal immigration agents have shot and killed a man in Minneapolis during an enforcement operation, marking the second such fatal shooting in the city in less than 3 weeks. It follows the deadly ICE shooting of Renee Good on January 7th. Federal and local officials offered differing assessment of the killing of the 37-year-old identified as Alex Preddy. And this while video of the altercation quickly spread online. The Department of Homeland Security insisted Preddy approached agents with a pistol and violently resisted being disarmed. The Secretary of Homeland Security, Christine Noem, said that the man attacked officers, though she did not mention if he pulled out his gun.
The officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently. Fearing for his life and for the lives of his fellow officers around him, an agent fired defensive shots. Medics were on the scene immediately and attempted to deliver medical aid to the subject, but he was pronounced dead at the scene.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz demanded state authorities lead the investigation. While speaking at a press conference in Blaine, said he had watched the video of the incident from several angles and called it sickening.
Donald Trump, I call on you once again. Remove this force from Minnesota. They are sowing chaos and violence. We've seen deadly violence from federal agents again and again and again.
Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey asked how many more Americans need to die as he pleaded with President Trump to halt the ICE operations in Minneapolis.
How many times must local and national leaders must plead with you, Donald Trump, to end this operation and recognize that this is not creating safety in our city?
While Trump, meanwhile, upped his war of words with Walz and Frey, accusing the Democratic leaders of inciting insurrection with what he described as rhetoric. While Trump has previously threatened to send troops to Minnesota by invoking the Insurrection Act. Now, an angry crowd gathered after the shooting and screamed profanities at federal officers, calling them cowards and telling them to go home. The intersection where the shooting took place has been blocked off, and the Border Patrol agents were on the scene wielding batons. Agents confronted the crowds using tear gas and flashbangs. Now, to give us more details, our correspondent Susan Teherani sent us this report. Listen in.
Federal officials are investigating a deadly shooting involving immigration agents in Minneapolis. Authorities say the man who was killed was Alex Preddy, and DHS claims that he was armed, even releasing a photo of the handgun they say was recovered at the scene. DHS also says that agents tried to disarm him during the encounter before shots were fired. But it's important to note that independent video evidence and some eyewitness accounts are raising questions about whether Preddy even actually brandished the firearm during the confrontation, and in some footage, he appears to be holding a cell phone. So the incident is now under review as the community continues to come out and protest.
All right, moving to other stories. The United States has asked Italy to join the International Stabilization Force for Gaza as a founding member. And this as the Trump administration moves to strengthen international backing for the initiative. Now, according to Bloomberg, diplomats made the request this week to the office of Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni and to Italy's foreign ministry. The decision to join now rests with Meloni. The International Stabilization Force, or the ISF, is envisioned as a multinational force that will be deployed to Gaza. Its responsibilities will include training Palestinian police force, demilitarizing the Gaza Strip, and securing its borders and safeguarding humanitarian operations. Now, under the resolution, the ISF troops will coordinate with Israel, Egypt, and a newly trained Palestinian police force that will operate independently of both Hamas and the Palestinian Authority. Hamas has rejected the plan, saying that the resolution imposes an international guardianship mechanism on the Gaza Strip. Meanwhile, several countries have joined Trump's Board of Peace, including Bahrain, Morocco, Argentina, Belgium, Egypt, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and the UAE. On the other hand, Brazilian President Lula da Silva and Chinese leader Xi Jinping have slammed the board. They see this board as a parallel U.S.-controlled body that could undermine the United Nations. While Italy has signaled interest in joining the Board of Peace, Meloni has urged Trump to amend the terms of the board in order to overcome Italy's constitutional issues that prevent it from joining.
As far as the Board of Peace is concerned, I would like to reiterate what I have already said. Italy's position is one of willingness and interest in the initiative. I believe that it is clear to everyone that Italy, but also Germany, can play a leading role in stabilizing the Middle East. And I think that the work needed to consolidate a complex and fragile truce and transform it into a long-term solution to the two-state solution requires our involvement.
We're now turning our focus. As the U.S. attack looms on Iran, Tehran is making sure its top leadership remains intact in case of any eventuality. And this comes as Trump threatened military intervention after Iran's brutal crackdown on domestic protesters, with human rights groups reporting over 5,000 deaths. And according to a report, Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, has been moved into an underground shelter in the capital city after senior military and security officials assessed an increased risk of a potential U.S. attack. The report further added that the supreme leader's third son, Masoud Khamenei, has taken over day-to-day management of the leader's office, functioning as the de facto main channel for coordination vis-a-vis the executive branches of the government and the security forces. The Fars news agency reported that Iran's Supreme National Security Council has officially greenlit the end of more than 2 weeks of digital blackout, during which thousands of protesters were killed, though it also added that internet connectivity remains unstable due to a technical complication. Now, the IRGC-affiliated media quoted the CEO of Iran's telecommunications company, who suggested that problems affecting access to the internet are expected to be resolved on Sunday. The official said that efforts were underway to stabilize connectivity after intermittent disruptions. Now, from around midday on Saturday, many users across Iran briefly regained access to the internet. However, the connection was short-lived and unstable. Now, the son of Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian called on Saturday for internet connectivity to be restored. Yusuf Pezeshkian warned that more than 2 weeks of blackout could exacerbate the anti-government sentiment. And as the air grows thick with the likelihood of a conflict between the two rivals, several major airlines have begun rerouting and canceling some flights across West Asia. The list includes KLM, Air France, Lufthansa, British Airways, and Finnair. And parallel to this, human rights activist news agency said that on 28th day of the protests, the death toll has reached over 5,400 fatalities. And this while more than 17,000 deaths are currently under investigation. The Iranian government has put the toll at 3,117, including near 2,400 deaths that it has labeled martyrs. Now, on the other hand, Iranians around the world continue to hold rallies and marches in support of protests inside the country, one such protest was organized in German capital Berlin, where around 3,000 rallied to demand the removal of Iran's clerical leadership. Protesters prominently displayed Iran's pre-Islamic Revolution line and sun flag, which is a symbol of Iran's former monarchy, while also emphasizing their opposition to being labeled supporters of the late Shah. While some participants insisted that their focus was on building a democratic future for Iran through free elections.
Most of these people here, they are younger generation who has been born after the so-called Islamic Revolution. So you cannot accuse us of being Shah supporters, and we all say we don't want to go back. We are looking at future, and as Crown Prince himself said it, after the freedom of Iran, there would be a free election, and people are going to choose what kind of regime they want.
Now, amidst this, the U.S. President Donald Trump is also planning to repatriate Iranian migrants from U.S. despite their home country still reeling from massive protests. The National Iranian American Council said that it had learned about Trump administration's plan to restart deportation flights to Iran. A diplomat representing Tehran's interests in the United States said that about 40 Iranians were to be deported from an airport in Phoenix, in Arizona. Now, there has been a flurry of diplomatic activity to bring the Russia-Ukraine war to a halt. From meetings in Switzerland to talks in the UAE, multiple channels are active. Now, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky described the latest UAE meetings as constructive, saying that a lot was discussed. No major breakthrough has been announced so far, and the situation on the ground continues to grow increasingly volatile. Now, our next report gives you more details on this.
Another night of Russian terror, that is how Ukrainians are describing the latest wave of attacks. Russia has launched a massive drone and missile strike on Ukraine's two largest cities, Kyiv and Kharkiv. Firefighters are working day and night, battling raging blazes. Streets were left scarred by burning cars and trucks as emergency crews worked through the night. Kyiv said Russia launched 396 drones and missiles in the past 24 hours. The relentless strikes on Ukraine's energy infrastructure have only deepened the country's winter crisis. Nearly 80% of Ukraine is now facing emergency power cuts. Kyiv is among the hardest hit, with large portions of the capital without electricity or heating. Around 1.2 million properties across are without power. In Kyiv alone, more than 6,000 buildings have no heating, even as temperatures are dropping below freezing. Residents in Kharkiv sought shelter in corridors with their children and pets. Daily blackouts have disrupted basic services, affecting elevators and heating systems. In many apartments, frost has formed inside windows, and families have adjusted their daily routines around power cuts and limited heating. The strikes came even as diplomatic efforts were underway, with tripartite talks on the war taking place. Territory remains the central sticking point in any potential settlement.
There are no windows in the kitchen on the 4th floor, and there are no windows in the room either. The ceiling has collapsed, the apartment is full of water, it's just horrible.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has made it clear that Kyiv must withdraw its troops from the eastern Donbas region. Donbas is Ukraine's industrial heartland. It is rich in coal and steel. Control of the region would give Russia a strong grip on eastern Ukraine. President Volodymyr Zelensky has called the demand unacceptable. He has warned that giving up land would only embolden Moscow. For now, Ukrainians remain hopeful, but wary as the war and the winter crisis continue.
Bangladesh is moving toward a highly competitive national election. Electoral campaigning by political parties has already begun, and this will be the first time parties face off at the ballot box since the 2024 uprising that ousted longtime Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Political parties are on the ground, laying out their pitch to voters. This election is expected to see a direct contest between the Bangladesh Nationalist Party and the Jamaat-e-Islami. Just 2 days into the campaigning, the atmosphere is already building. Across cities and neighborhoods, candidates and volunteers are distributing leaflets, raising slogans, and visiting homes to seek support. Small street processions and door-to-door outreach have brought back the familiar sense of election time competition. Only 19 days are left before the polling. Campaign teams are stepping up efforts to ensure visibility, and many describe it as Bangladesh's first truly competitive election since 2008. The interim government, led by Muhammad Yunus, has pledged to deliver a free and fair election, but the former ruling Awami League has raised concerns over fairness. This after the party was barred from contesting the polls. With the Awami League out of the race, a 10-party alliance led by Jamaat-e-Islami is seeking to expand its political footprint. The alliance includes the newly formed National Citizen Party, created by student leaders who took part in 2024's uprising. Well, both Jamaat-e-Islami and the NCP launched their campaigns in the capital, Dhaka. The Bangladesh Nationalist Party is placing its hopes on Tariq Rahman. Tariq is the party's chairman and the son of former Prime Minister Khaleda Zia.
If you cast your vote to the sheaf of paddy and make the party victorious, then I promise we will provide every mother and every housewife of all the families a family card like this.
Over the past 2 days, BNP leader Tariq Rahman addressed 8 rallies, while Jamaat-e-Islami chief Shafiqur Rahman spoke at 5 public meetings. And since the first day of campaigning, tensions between the rivals have been visible. Both sides have exchanged sharp statements on key political and ideological issues.
The root cause of every misdeed and corruption is the lack of justice. If there was justice, then the looters, corrupt people, couldn't safely escape after taking people's money from the banks.
Now, this election features 1,981 candidates. The country, home to more than 170 people, will elect 300 lawmakers. The campaigning will continue until February 10th, while the polls are scheduled for February 12th.
Accept
It's been a turbulent week for global markets, driven by geopolitical tensions and sudden policy reversals from Washington. Stocks and bonds swung sharply. The U.S. dollar slid to its worst weekly performance since May, and investors rushed into safe havens. Now take a look at our next report for more details. Global markets endured a volatile week as geopolitical uncertainty and abrupt policy shifts rattled investor confidence. U.S. stocks, bonds, and the dollar all swung sharply after President Donald Trump announced and then reversed a proposed 10% tariff on imports from several European countries linked to the Greenland dispute. The S&P 500 logged both its worst session since October and its best day since November in the same week, before ending down just 0.35%. The volatility index also posted its biggest one-day spike since October. Heightened uncertainty pushed investors towards safe haven assets. Gold recorded its strongest weekly gain since 2020, rising about 8.4% and breaking through the $4,700, $4,800, and $4,900 per ounce levels for the first time. Silver surged 16% in its best week since 2020, crossing $100 an ounce. At the same time, the U.S. dollar index fell roughly 1.9% for the week, its worst performance since May, reflecting waning confidence and boosting demand for precious metals. Volatility has amplified by developments outside the U.S., particularly a sharp sell-off in Japan's bond market. Rising Japanese yields spilled over into U.S. bonds and equities before stabilizing later in the week. Looking ahead, investors are turning their attention to major fourth quarter earnings from companies including Meta, Microsoft, and Tesla, as well as the Federal Reserve's first policy meeting of the year. While U.S. stocks gains are broadening, strategists warn that elevated valuations, political risk, and policy uncertainty could keep market volatility high. Business Bureau Report, WION World is One. All right, over to some entertainment news on Z5. A new movie brings a raw and emotionally layered story to the screen, and actor Anshuman Pushkar is right at the center of it. The actor gets candid about what drew him to the film, the challenges of playing a complex and conflicted character, and an exclusive conversation with WION. Pushkar also reflects on intense scenes, creative collaboration, and what he hopes audiences take away from the film. Take a look at this report.
The honesty of the story is very intriguing, and the cast is definitely. I heard that who are playing who. So these and this is going. Manish Malhotra is going to produce it, the Stage 5 production. So these all aspects are there already to intrigue me to get into this project, and I really wanted to work with them. So these are the basic things you want to cover up first, and definitely everything was there. It was really very challenging, if you can say that thing. That this is the first time I'm attempting this kind of character or role. There are multiple complexity this character had. He is victim of his own created situation, and he just want to escape from it. My director was there to guide me to the right path and to achieve the right emotion and behavior of it. As an actor, you want to always get challenged. As an actor, when you work for any particular project, now I don't think so. Any particular scene is less important. Film initials of the film, people see me as a very rude, rough, and lost character. But then suddenly, when Saurasini's character came into the film, my character completely shifts. So in that, variation is very important. So the first time I see that girl, and when you are completely in a different zone, and when you see that you have to completely switch. This is a film made by with very honest intent. I salute to Manish Malhotra. They have very sincere approach toward completing the film. I don't see any certain fear. If they are approaching this particular subject. This film, I first time saw this film, I was very mesmerized and very happy with the shot taking and beauty of the film. It has been shot in Dehradun. So Dehradun itself is a very beautiful city. Public will definitely take these beautiful things with them when they see this film.
All right, with that, we call a wrap to World DNA for today. Last sign up on the other side of this very short break. We're watching Beyond World is One. Stay tuned.
As Zootopia 2 becomes the biggest Hollywood animated movie of all time, we get you a list of other highest grossing animated films.
A dangerous experiment!
Know all about the Hollywood stars who have dual citizenship and pay a tribute to iconic fashion designer Valentino Garavani. All this and much more with me, Diksha Bisla, on WION at these times.
A global convention on a mountainside in one of the prettiest countries in the world. Davos 2026 was an absolute spectacle. AI dominated the forum's Swiss landscape. But in Beijing, robot dogs got a lot of press for pulling a sled across a frozen lake. The UK Navy sent up an autonomous bird to track subs, while the US military's latest Abrams tank can tackle drones in the air. What a week and a half it's been. Don't miss the wrap on Tech It Out, only on WION at these times.
And welcome to a brand new edition of South India, a daily dynamic show that will capture the pulse of southern states.
By blending the special stories, the breaking alerts, and the culture developments as well.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street